Hello and welcome to Breathwood. My name is David Yates, and right now I want to delve a little more deeply into circular breathing. And I want to talk about what I'm going to call our 5 styles or 5 different timings when circular breathing. There might be more, but these are the ones that I either have used or explored or seen the most often. So let's just get right into it. Style number 1. I'm calling it the beginner breath. It's the way beginners manage to fill and pressurize their cheeks and mouth and then squeeze and breathe. Not exactly in one moment, sometimes in one beat, but it has kind of this arc to it where it goes fill, squeeze, breathe. So that's what I see most often with beginners, the beginner's breath. It's not wrong. In fact, it means you're circular breathing, which is awesome. You should give yourself a high five. What it also means is that it's not very precise. It's not all happening on one beat or 2 beats like it will tend to happen or in one sound or 2 sounds like it is most often used throughout modern playing. So that leads me to the 2 next ones, the single sound and the 2 sound. So the single sound circular breath I also call the all-in-one breath. It takes the beginner's breath and compresses it into one clear beat. That's it. In the same moment, I pressurize with a little burst of air and then right away breathe and then back to playing. This can be played on multiple beats in a row. You can breathe in or out on it. You can add voice to it. Super useful. I use this all the time to top up a little or to release a little bit of air. If I'm playing other sounds that are really fast, I might use just one all-in-one breath to get a breath. If we compare that to the beginner breath, this is what it would sound like. And I remember doing that as a beginner. I always thought, how do I get a breath in this really fast rhythm? You gotta shrink it down. Okay, all in one breath. Next, the 2-part breath. This is the doorway into the bounce and the wobble. In fact, it is the bounce. It can feel more or less bouncy depending on how you do it, but in my mind, it's what the bounce is. You pressurize by expanding your cheeks and potentially dropping the jaw and opening the throat or doing just one of those by itself. That's one moment, and the next moment, squeeze and breathe. So pressurize, squeeze and breathe. So cheeks. That's not so bouncy because I'm really controlling it. But if I speed up, I use some of the natural reflex of the body to pull back, to squeeze again, and that creates a bounciness to it. Jaw. Keep missing my drone. motion of the throat goes from open like the ah sound to closed like the sound. Ah-ng, ah-ng, ah-ng. Two-part bounce breath, two-part circular breath. Fill and pressurize on one moment, squeeze and breathe on the next. So if I go back to the first rhythm, that's the beginner breath. Then here's the all-in-one breath. And here's the two-part breath. You get a little bit of a wah or a wop or a whoa sound. Now I'm filling on the third do. Do, do, fill, and squeezing on the fourth. So that's the two-part breath. If you're in the beginner's breath zone, you don't necessarily need to go to the all-in-one breath. You might want to jump to the two-part breath. Fill and pressurize, squeeze and breathe. And just go open, close, open, squeeze, open, squeeze. Sometimes that's the doorway into much more smooth and efficient, faster circular breathing. Then there is the smooth circular breath. When you think about it, there are 4 places in a smooth drone where you could add a little extra sound. When you pressurize, when you squeeze, when you breathe, just the sound of breathing, and when you start blowing again from the diaphragm. 4 places. So for a smooth drone, we have to keep it really gentle at every point along the way. So first step, pressurize. If you do that quickly, it can actually create an extra sound. If you want that, great. But if you want to keep it really smooth and gentle, this is also smooth and gentle. The next 2 parts happen together. I really focus on squeezing the throat while I take a gentle sniff in. That was it. I don't squeeze my cheeks all the way or hard at all. Otherwise, it sounds like this. I keep them inflated and squeeze from the throat with just a little cheek support. It's like there's a pillow of air in my mouth that I'm maintaining the whole time. Then when I start playing again from my lungs, instead of my cheek air, it's soft. Otherwise, it sounds like this. Too much air. Keeping it very gentle. The ultimate challenge, one of the ultimate challenges on Didgeridoo is a perfectly simple drone with no harmonics added, no changes to it, just smooth while you circular breathing. If you think about it, it's almost impossible because you go from an open throat, open mouth drone to a closed throat drone for just a moment, back to open. The sound's coming from inside you. The didge is amplifying it. What you do in your mouth, you hear in the didge. So if you close your throat, you're naturally changing how the sounds will come across for just a moment. But it is possible to be fairly smooth about it, and a lot of people use the harmonics to kind of cover it up. Or the voice. let's say I take away the harmonics and the voice. Here's what I'm sounding like when I do it right now. It's not bad, but you can, if you listen closely enough, you can hear the difference. So that's number 4. Number 5, I don't really get. Every once in a while, I go and watch Didgeridoo on YouTube. His name's Olaf. He's in Germany. He teaches a traditional playing technique, which he calls, or I don't know if he still calls it this. He used to call it negative pressure. It's brilliant. It looks and sounds amazing. He drops the throat kind of in this yaw sound, yaw, while expanding the belly to pull air in. And somehow in that movement, it manages to circular breathe. And he adds voice. I still feel like, for me, that's an open yaw, and then to close and breathe. It's kind of like the all-in-one breath from the throat. It can happen at the end of a traditional sound like and I'm not that good at pronouncing it. I learned this from Jeremy Cloak. A d, I, ol, with a lo to kind of breathe at the end. So traditional breath, we could call it, or negative pressure breath, deep throat breath. Those are all ways of thinking about it. It's important for me to note that in any of these breaths, what we're basically talking about is pressure. The pressure starts off from your diaphragm and lungs always. Then you pressurize your mouth and throat area. Then you squeeze that pressure through your buzzing lips to keep the buzz going while breathing in, and then pressure reverts back to your diaphragm and lungs. Some people have managed to create pressure by a diaphragm push and then a breath. I would consider that a diaphragm bounce breath. But the pressure is still contained up here. There might be more. I would love to hear from you if you think there are other types of circular breath. I'm sure there are others that I haven't quite calculated yet, but when I break everything down, all the playing I've heard, how I play, how I see students playing, this is it. So if you're still on the path to learning to circular breathe, look at all your options. There's a lot. If I were to suggest one approach for now, it would probably be the 2-part breath. I think that's how I really got it when I learned. I went do, do, do to pressurize, and then to squeeze. Chewing, squeezing the cheeks, breathing in. That was my breakthrough. For other people, it might be different. So, as always, check below for all of my social media contact information to get in touch, to stay connected and updated. Let me know if you have questions or suggestions, other thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. Your comments rock. Thanks so much for watching. As always, happy playing, and I'll see you soon.